Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Susan Campbell. We have a guest in studio with us today. This is a special treat. We are getting ready to close out the year, and we wanted to take a look at one of the things that has impacted so many people this year. We've talked a lot about scams. It is what I do in my job so often to try to warn people what's going on. It's what you do in your job too, Brian, and I appreciate you being here with us so much because there is something going on that's so critical to raise all of the red flags for and let people know what's going on. And this is all scams dealing with Bitcoin. I just want to get a sense from you. Give me the overview of what you are experiencing. Who are these people who you're talking to, and what is the issue they're facing?
So our main focus at R.O.S.E, Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly, is older adults. Every age group gets scammed, but the numbers don't lie. Older adults lose more because of accumulation of wealth, things like pensions, investments, appreciation of your property. So we're trying to warn them about scams, and we're seeing the scammers are, always need to be paid. They're in the game to get paid, and we're seeing the trend is away from the prepaid debit cards that you would buy at a big box store and moving people into cryptocurrency ATMs. And these things look like regular ATMs, like a cash ATM that you would find at a casino or at a convenience store, but they'll say Bitcoin Depot or have another name. And you literally walk up and you can feed cash into this thing. And we don't like these things because to me, they're like a scam receptacle. It's just an easy way for scammers to get money from victims.
Give me a scenario of how this would actually work. Like, what is the scam that is leading somebody to find a Bitcoin ATM or a cryptocurrency ATM and start feeding money into it?
So yeah, multiple scams, but a real simple one is the jury scam. An oldie but goodie. It's been around for a long time. You get that phone call from Deputy so-and-so from Maricopa County, and they'll actually use a real name, so you can Google it, and it seems legit, and they'll say you failed to show up for jury duty. There's a warrant out for your arrest. But if you pay this fine right now, you won't be arrested. And then they'll say there is a machine you can go to at the corner, and they know they'll figure out where you live, conveniently located, and they'll say you need to go to this cryptocurrency ATM, and they will text you a little QR code to your phone. And you walk up to that machine, you'll scan it, and then the machine directs you to insert cash. You put the cash in there, and then it's gone. And that's what these things. Now, it could relate to romance scams, where people actually are encouraged to invest in cryptocurrency. And then when that happens, it's actually called pig butchering. It's a nasty term. I don't like the term, but it gets people's attention, especially when I do presentations. But people think they're investing in cryptocurrency, and then all the other scams in between. Whatever scam there is, the criminals are directing people to these machines because of the anonymity. It's hard to trace. It's possible, but you got to find someone who can track it down, a law enforcement agency that has the time. And it's just criminals always want to send people to methods of payment they're not familiar with.
Well, I think that's the thing that's so interesting in these cases. I spoke with a woman who lost a boatload of money, and it was all money she had fed into cryptocurrency ATMs in multiple locations because she had to go make several deposits. She was directed to follow these instructions that were quite complicated. And I asked her during our interview, do you even know what Bitcoin is? Had you ever heard of a Bitcoin ATM? She said no. And I was so blown away that, these scammers are so convincing that you would go and seek out this thing you've never even heard of or seen before and follow those instructions to a T.
Right. And with all scammers, it's all about control or trust or both. And once you start going down that path and you believe them, it's hard to deviate from the path. I actually spoke to someone a couple months ago who started falling for that jury scam, and she started going steps 1, 2, 3, 4. She was well on the way to losing it, and then something happened, and she ended up making a phone call, and she was able to stop. But she believed it, and she said they were so convincing because you remember these are not amateur scammers; these are professionals. They literally have like a script of paper or something on a computer screen where they know exactly what to say to counter whatever concerns that you have.
Yeah, so there is a new law that was passed this year in Arizona to try to counteract some of these scams involving cryptocurrency ATMs. Just give us all the quick overview of what this law was hoping to accomplish.
Right. So it offers additional protections for consumers. So it's the Cryptocurrency Kiosk License Fraud Protection Law.
That's a mouthful.
It is. That's why I had to read it.
We were looking at notes on that one, folks.
So the biggest thing, it limits daily transactions to $2,000 for new customers. So if there is a loss, it'll be mitigated. So you're not going to lose everything on like the first day. There's warning signs on there, things you have to click, and I've been told the box moves around, so you can't just click, click, click. But remember, the scammers may have you on the phone just telling you what to do. They're required to get a receipt, so you know what type of cryptocurrency you bought, the dates. There's this thing called hash value. There's the digital wallet. So it's sort of a roadmap for law enforcement to figure out where the money went. And then here's the biggest thing. You have 30 days to report fraud, and the people that operate those ATMs are responsible to reimburse you.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal, and really, it's a game changer.
Because they're not the scammers. They just have one of these machines in their business.
Right, and the thing to remember, these things are legal machines. Okay, but here's the problem with them: is there's high fees associated with them. They're in it to make money. So if someone really wanted to invest in one of our, there's thousands of cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people do that. Is another way to invest. You can do it at home from your home computer, or you can do it from your phone, and you're going to pay a lot lower fees. You'll get a better deal, So for me, I am struggling to find a legitimate purpose for these machines based on my experience in law enforcement, my experience with R.O.S.E, talking to victims. I also teach at the University of Arizona, and I had a HSI special agent come in and speak to my class. And this is what he said to my students. If you were a brand new detective and you had no caseload, you could just park your car in front of, a liquor store, convenience store where they have one of these ATMs, pull every license plate, and you're either going to talk to a victim or a criminal. There's going to be very few people that go in and pay those high fees to invest in cryptocurrency. Are there? Yes, there's people that do that. But I'm just not a fan, and I'm struggling with it. And I'm actually petitioning my town council where I live, asking them, why do we even have these things? Can we go further than what this new law is? And we're happy with this law. I mean, it's a great start. It's a good thing for everyone. But,
you said it's a start, though. What else do you want to see happen?
I don't know. I mean, in an ideal world, I wish these things were gone. Now, maybe someone from one of these cryptocurrency companies, these owners of these ATMs could change my mind. But we see the financial carnage when someone loses this money. I know that one lady that you interviewed for a prior story lost $200,000. I've met people that have lost $20,000. I met a lady who lost $700,000. So to me, it's just these ATMs are too easy for people to lose everything. And we're not talking like 500 or 1,000. We're talking life savings type of stuff.
This is the world you're in all the time talking to these folks. Have you talked to anybody who ended up getting to that limit and was stopped? Have you talked to any potential victims?
No. So I just found out since this law. So I spoke to Joyce yesterday, who's the founder of R.O.S.E, the nonprofit I work part-time for. And she says there's an article coming out in January. And I'm looking forward to reading the article, but a lady was able to retrieve her money after being scammed. So that's some good news that money can actually be returned. But we're in the prevention business. We want to stop people from even going to these machines in the first place. It's going to take a long time to get us all trained. I mean, like we all know now, if you get an email from a Nigerian prince, it's a scam. It's a laugh line when I do my presentations because no one falls for that anymore, because it's been around for 20 plus years.
Things have evolved.
They have evolved, but those still persist because people fall for them, but it's so minimal. Most people don't know about these cryptocurrency scams, and the criminals are just so good at what they do right now. So we're just in the mode right now of just warning people. Federal Trade Commission put out a really good infographic and said, if someone sent you to a Bitcoin ATM, it's a scam. Real simple messaging. No legitimate company.
Just full stop right there.
Yeah. No legitimate company, law enforcement agency, government agency is going to force you to use one of these cryptocurrency ATMs. It's just not normal, and that should be the red flag. So if you see someone, I was up in Yavapai County a couple months ago, and I saw one at one of their malls there, and it sticks out right as you walk in the entrance, and it's got bright yellow colors. And I was looking at it, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "You're not falling for a scam, are you?" And I go, "Oh, no, I'm in the fraud prevention business." And he started telling me he's just sort of taken it upon himself to stop people. And he's seen a lot of people that came in, the blinders on, going right to the machine, doing exactly what they're told. And he stopped them, say, "Hey, this is a scam. This is a scam." So, yeah, these things are. Can you tell I'm not a fan?
I can tell you're passionate about it, and I appreciate that. I want to go back, if we can use one of these. I know you've spoken to so many victims who've lost so much. If we can use one of their experiences without revealing their identity, because I know that's confidential between you and those people. But let's use one of their experiences to talk through the red flags. So this person who you said lost $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
How did she lose $700,000? Walk us through step by step the red flags that we missed along the way.
Right. So that started through a classic romance scam. So she was a widow, and someone had convinced her to go online, and she ended up meeting what she thought was her boyfriend online. He was overseas, and he was the greatest guy ever. You wake up in the morning, there's messages, and progressed quickly, and they were talking back and forth, and eventually
How were they communicating? Was it text message or was it over an app?
So that would have been social media.
Okay.
Or sometimes they'll do something like a WhatsApp.
Yeah.
It wasn't phone. It could have been text message. You never get to see them face to face.
Right.
She was in love. She trusted him, and they were talking about getting married. And later on, it's not an instant scam. It's not like the classic scam where it all happens real quick. This was a long play. He eventually introduced the idea of investing in Bitcoin. Said you could set up your grandchildren for life. And she invested a small amount. She went down to, this was also in Yavapai County, to a smoke shop, put money into one of these ATMs, and she actually was provided a portal on her computer screen from the scammer, and it showed that she was making money. You get a little excited, It's like greed, but we all want to make money in our investments.
Yeah. And if you're telling somebody they're going to set their grandkids up for a great future, kind of pulling on the heartstrings, and then you see what appears to be data to back up that feeling.
It's part of the scam, and then it gets even better, Susan. He actually refunded the money just to show that it was liquid, but that's part of the scam. Then she was encouraged to invest more. She eventually sold her house to invest as much as she possibly could. And then when he realized $700,000 later, she was tapped out.
That was it.
He ghosted her and just disappeared, and she was out. And her friend had heard me talk on a radio show up north and said, "You should call Brian." And I wasn't really looking forward to talking to her. I was kind of nervous, like, was she going to be all there mentally? And sharp as a tack, very smart lady. And she told me my deceased husband's got to be rolling over in his grave. And there's that shame and embarrassment, and she had to move in with a friend. But it's
shattering.
It really is. And I mean, you could just go online and any search engine, pig butchering, and you'll see people that have lost $1 million and they've lost their houses. And it's unbelievable. There are scam compounds overseas. A lot of this is overseas. And a lot of the people who are actually messaging and starting these online interactions are actually victims themselves. People being forced to work at these compounds because they've been tricked as well. So, and it's only getting worse. It's way too profitable. These are not lone wolf scammers. These are organized criminal enterprises. It's like mafia type stuff. I mean, this is big. big thing.
Walk me through that a little bit more. We haven't really dug into that on this podcast before about what it is like, where these scams are originating. I mean, you say people are forced into this kind of work, in quotes. How is this happening?
Because of money. So, for instance, you hear a lot of Cambodia, Myanmar. Those are two places right now. Like Myanmar, it's an area where, the country's has unstable government, and there's areas that are controlled by organized crime because people are paid off. There's a investigative reporter, Mariana Van Zellner, who does a show called Trafficked. I think it's Nat Geo, and she does a fabulous job. And they show these places, so the victims are tricked, and it's very sophisticated. There's job offers for like a high-paying tech job, and there's actually interviews and multiple interviews and documents and paperwork, and then you get this job and you show up there. They take your phone, they take your passport, and make you sit there and do these online messages all day long. And you have to have a quota. If you don't work hard enough, they will beat you. They'll kill you if you try to escape. And these compounds are kind of like in plain sight, right on these borders. Like I've seen a lot of videos on the internet, investigative reporting, where people they show them, and you can see these things. Now, there's a lot more awareness about it, but it's just big money. And where there's big money, the criminals are going to take advantage of it.
And for all of the losses that are reported, we know there are so many more losses that go unreported. So we really have no idea the scope of this.
Yeah. I mean, you really don't. I mean, like FBI... the FBI's elder fraud for 2024, they report $4.8 billion in losses for older adults in the United States. I've always wondered, what percentage is actually reported. I spoke to someone also in the scam investigation field or prevention. They think only 6 to 10% is reported. It's crazy. I mean, I've done over 80 presentations in the last 2 years, and I always ask this question, what's the number one reason people don't report being victimized? And I always get embarrassment.
Yeah.
We live in a country where, like, politically, people will fight over, just can't agree on anything. But how is that possible? Over 80 times, I always get embarrassment. The only one I got shame once, but it's always
That's
embarrassing.
Pretty darn close.
But that we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So let's save people from this potential nightmare. Just give us the quick red flags of things to do besides that very, very clear message you already gave us. If somebody's directing you to a Bitcoin ATM, that's a scam. Avoid it. What are the other things we need to know?
So you always have to have a healthy skepticism. Not living in fear, but anytime someone calls you, emails you, text messages you, and there's an urgency, we need to act very slow. You need to be like a sloth. Move slowly. Never be afraid to hang up. You can lie if you have to. These people are lying to you. Take a break. We really encourage everyone to have a phone a friend. But if you ever feel like you're being pressured to do something quickly, you just, pull that ripcord and escape. Take the parachute out of the situation, and then call the family member, call a friend, call a police department. Every police department in town, they're busy. I mean, every police department's overwhelmed. Trust me. They would gladly spend 10 minutes with you and say, yeah, Brian, you are getting scammed. You stop right there. Because that 10 minutes is way easier than multiple days of investigative work, and then the money's gone. So those are the big red flags. For us, time is our friend. For the scammers, they want urgency.
So just slow everything down.
It's hard. It's hard. Just like that story that you did a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, where you get that call from your bank and they say it's the security department. Yeah. This thing is a very common scheme. You have to say, you know what? Just so I sleep well at night, I'm going to call you back from a verified number. And you pull out your ATM card or your debit card from your wallet and you flip it over, and it's got that customer service number on the back.
The real number.
And every security department will be like, absolutely, we'll be here if it's legit, But I've seen too many people just be too trusting.
Yeah.
And it's hard. No one wants to live in a world like this. But this is the downside of being able to order Christmas presents that show up tomorrow. and information on our fingertips. There's pros and cons with technology. Today, we're obviously talking about the cons, and it's tough. It's tough, but I wish I could put myself out of a job, but these scams are only getting worse and worse. So we have to keep fighting the fight.
We'll keep talking about it. Brian, if people want to find out more about you or R.O.S.E, any social media or websites that you can connect with people.
R.O.S.E advocacy.org is our website. We're also on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We also have a podcast called Let's Talk About Scams. But R.O.S.E advocacy.org. Right on our front page, you can sign up for our free email list. We send out one big email a month and a couple smaller ones on Tuesdays. All we ask is your name and your email. If you like it, share it with your friends. If you don't like it, it's not good content, you can unsubscribe and we won't be sad.
But we know it's good content.
It's good stuff. And, my parents both get the same email. So it's a good conversation starter where I don't have to insult their age or their intelligence.
Love it. Brian, thank you so much for joining us for this really important conversation. And hopefully it's a good message for people resonating into the new year.
Thanks for the opportunity, Susan.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can. Send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile news app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.